Cohub Inventory for Shopify helps you make better inventory decisions with two applications, a browser app and a mobile app. The two apps work together to give you a true and complete picture of inventory at any of your locations. The browser app, found in the Apps section of your Shopify admin, is where you organize and analyze your inventory. It shows summaries of each location's inventory, details on specific items, the history and status of counting sessions at each location, and other details. It's important to understand that the inventory numbers you see in Shopify are calculated from normal transactions like sales, purchases, and transfers. However, these numbers won't include the distorting effects of real-world problems like double shipping an order, receiving a PO twice, or shoplifting. This is where the mobile app comes in. It's the tool that lets you or a team easily confirm or correct Shopify's inventory records with what's actually sitting on your shelves. With the mobile app, you can do a full count of all products in a location, also called a physical inventory, or you can count a specific group of products through Cohub's cycle counting option. Finishing the count saves the new inventory values to your Shopify store. Of course, you can always count and update inventory without the help of the mobile app, but it's much easier with the mobile app, and it's free. First, let's add the Cohub Inventory application from the Shopify App Store. After a few moments, the system will populate the inventory app with our current Shopify data. Next, we'll download and install the iOS or Android version of the mobile app from the Apple App Store or Google Play. Once installed, both versions work exactly the same way. Let's open the mobile app. Tap Login, then connect to Shopify. We'll type in our Shopify store name, tap Install, then our Shopify username and password to log in. Now that we're logged in, the first thing we see is a list of all the locations for our Shopify store. Let's scroll down to the Park Avenue location and tap Start Count. Here we have an option between a full count or a cycle count. We'd pick cycle count if we wanted to count a specific subset of Park Avenue's inventory. But for this tutorial, we want to count all items, so we'll choose full count. Next, we'll enter a name to distinguish us from other people who might be helping us with the count. To keep things simple for this session, we'll be the only ones counting Park Avenue's inventory. Now, let's do some counting. Tap Start Scanning, then tap OK or Allow to let Cohub Inventory use your device's camera as a barcode scanner. Align the item's barcode inside the target area. The moment the app locks onto the barcode, it's captured and we're returned to the counting screen. Here we can adjust the number of units we have for the item with the plus or minus buttons, or by tapping and entering the quantity directly. We'll tap the scan icon in the lower right corner to scan the next item, then enter its quantity. Now, let's tap Add to Count to save our work to the cloud. Add to Count doesn't change our inventory in Shopify, it just copies the data from the mobile app to the cloud for safekeeping. The actual updating of Shopify's inventory records happens later, in the very last step of the count. For now, we've got a few more items to scan. We'll tap the Scan button, but this time we'll tap the Batch Mode icon in the upper right corner to speed up the process. Now, scan an item, and then the next. Notice that we're kept at the scanning screen. Each unit scan will add 1 to the count for the item's quantity. Tapping Done takes us back to the counting screen. 6 units scanned, 6 units counted. Now, let's tap the Counted tab to review the work we've done so far, and make corrections if necessary. This small circled number, right here, tells us we've counted 5 unique items. The list, on the other hand, shows us the number of pieces we've counted for each one of those unique items. Tapping an item lets us make an adjustment to the number of pieces we counted for that item, if we've made a mistake. Let's go back to counting using the Batch Mode option to scan items, shelf by shelf. Now, anyone who's dealt with inventory knows that it's bound to get messy. Items get scattered, stuck behind other boxes, borrowed by someone and not put back. Fortunately, there's no need to gather up all the pieces of a particular item and scan them together. Cohub software handles the organizing for you, automatically aggregating each scanned piece to its appropriate item. Let's see how. We've been counting some hard drives organized by one brand per shelf, but one of the hard drives from the upper shelf has somehow found itself misplaced with another brand on a lower shelf. There's no need to stop what we're doing to figure this out. We'll just keep scanning. When we're done with this other shelf, we see a count of one piece for this misplaced drive. But after we save our work, and then review it under the Counted tab, we see that drive was indeed included with its 3 other buddies found on the shelf above. All 4 units are present and accounted for. As we scan, an incorrect or missing barcode may show up that generates an Item Not Found alert. Not a problem. Just tap Search for existing items or tap the search icon. We can enter a search term or scroll through the list to find the item and then enter its quantity. Later, we should tidy up the record for this item with the Cohub browser app. From the Items tab, enter a search term, click Update, and then enter the proper barcode or SKU information. Now, let's tap Add to Count to save these last items to the cloud. As we learned earlier, Add to Count saves our count data, but does not update Shopify's official inventory record. That gets updated when we finish the count, and that's the step we're about to do. Let's review everything we've counted by taking a look at the Counted tab. We'll quickly scroll through the items we've counted to make sure that everything looks in order. Now, tap the Activity tab. Here we see a summary of the work we've just done. We've counted 20 unique items, took 4 minutes to do it, saved our data 7 times, and, importantly, we have no items left to count. Looks good. If other team members were helping us count, we could review what they've been doing as well. As we know, we're the only ones counting, so everyone's saves will be the same as my saves. Now for the big moment. Tap Finish Count. Shopify's records are now updated with what we've actually got in stock at the Park Avenue location. This count is done. Let's take a look at Cohub Inventory's browser app to see how this count has affected inventory for Park Avenue. Click the Count Sessions tab and then select the card for the count we just performed. Looks like most of the item counts are exactly what we expected. But for this item, there's a significant difference in what we thought we had versus what we actually counted. It's not what we hoped, but at least we know that there's a discrepancy and where to focus our efforts to learn why it's different. Before we conclude this tutorial, let's go back to the mobile app and take a look at a situation you're likely to encounter. In this case, we've scanned all of the items found at Park Avenue, yet Cohub Inventory tells us that we have 2 items left to count. If we're confident that there are none to be found, we should enter quantities of 0 for these items. Now we could go back to the Counting tab, search for the missing items, and enter 0 quantities, but there's a much simpler option. Let's go ahead and tap Finish Count. Now we're presented with the convenient option to zero out uncounted items, a button that does exactly what it says. It enters a 0 for the quantity of any item that we, or anyone else, didn't count. Tap it, then tap Finish and Set to 0 to confirm. Our inventory is submitted, and Shopify's inventory records are now up to date.